So today we'll continue our journey through the elements as we've been discussing. And as a brief look back, so far we've felt the transformative heat of fire and that steady foundation of earth. And last time we traveled with the adaptive flow of water. And now we'll turn our awareness to an element that is everywhere and yet nowhere to be seen. And this is the element of air. And this week, as I was reflecting and preparing for our time together, I had this vivid reminder of this element's invisible yet incredibly impactful nature while I was out on a walk. And so I'll set that scene for you a little. I was along the shoreline at a place called Seal Bay. Those of you who have been here or are local will know it pretty well. And so at my back, I had one of my most beloved forests. You kind of wander through a forest to get down to the bay. And I had the ocean and the coastal mountains in front of me. And the wind, as it can do near the water, was gusting. And of course, I couldn't see it, but it engaged all of my senses. And I could hear the wind rustling through the trees, and I could feel it on my skin, that cool, moist presence. And I could smell and even taste the scents of the ocean and the earth and the rain, all transported by the air. And while I couldn't see the air itself, I could see its effects in the whitecaps on the water and the movement of the clouds, which were just like moving so beautifully, and the trees, and there were birds that were soaring, like seemingly playing on these currents of air. And it was this visceral reminder that this unseen element is the very medium of life. And it occurred to me, like, this is the first gift we receive when we arrive here in the world with our first breath. It's the first thing we take in. And it's the last thing we release when we leave. So this experience really highlighted for me this paradox of air. Though it's completely invisible, its presence connected and animated everything that I could see and hear and feel, including myself. So today, I thought we could explore air through the lens of its role as the unseen connector. And this role as a connector is kind of astonishingly literal, even chemical. So when we were exploring the other elements, air was always there, hidden in plain sight, as they say. So it is the oxygen that joins together with hydrogen to become water, right? H2O. And it's bound up in the silicon oxides that form sand and earth. And it is the essential element that feeds fire. So without which fire is extinguished altogether. It cannot live without air. So air is not just around the other elements or even in relationship with them. It is within them. It's like this silent, partner, this unifying presence of so much of our world. And for us, perhaps the most intimate way we experience air is through the breath. So in early Buddhist teachings, in that Satipatthana Sutta we've been talking about in this series, the air element is known as vāyo-dhātu. And there, air is defined by three core qualities. The Buddhists always have to have a list, right? So the three qualities are movement and dynamism and vibration. And each one is accessible to us through our own bodies, so we can experience this really directly. And they offer us profound teachings, each of these qualities. So first, we can feel air's quality of movement, which we experience in the constant flow of the breath. And this rhythm is a perfect model of the necessity and the wisdom of something many of us, I'm going to raise my hand here, can find challenging, and that is letting go. Right? So when we breathe, we receive the precious gift of the inhale. And no sooner have we received it than to continue living, we got to let it go. And this makes the breath our most persistent, ever-present teacher of the truth of impermanence. It just shows us again and again and again. And this same quality of movement also anchors us in presence, because each breath exists only now, right? We cannot breathe yesterday's breath or get advanced access to tomorrow's. So it becomes the quintessential anchor for mindfulness. To be with the breath is to be here. It can't be any other way. And of course, this is why the Buddha taught mindfulness of the breath and body as the first foundation of mindfulness, as has come up many times here before. So next, we can feel air's dynamism. And dynamism is not a word most of us use a whole lot. At least I do not. This is not in my daily repertoire. So when I learned about this quality of vāyo-dhātu, I looked a little deeper into what it meant. And I learned that in this context, we can understand dynamism as the principle of vital, animating energy. So it is the life force that we receive with every single breath. It's the energy that our breath delivers to the body, fueling our systems, oxygenating our blood, feeding our cells, sparking our nervous system. So here again, without the constant gift of air, this dynamism, our life force itself, cannot continue. And finally, we experience the quality of vibration. So as you likely know, sound is vibration traveling through air. And this quality is what allows for so many forms of communication, right? Like our words, our laughs, our cries, our songs. They are literally shaped by our breath and carried on air. So I think this makes air the messenger of connection in a lot of ways. It carries what is felt inside one being into something that can be shared. And when we hold all of this together, the movement, the dynamism, the vibration, we can begin to sense a remarkable truth that the breath reveals to us. The air you are breathing right now, the air that I am breathing, every breath, this one, has been on an incredible journey. It's tumbled over mountains, risen from the surface of oceans all around the globe. It's been exhaled as a gift and an exchange by countless trees and plants. This air contains the very same molecules that were breathed by our ancestors, human and more than human. And this deep sense of connection is what the Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh called interbeing. The reality that nothing exists by itself, and everything contains everything else. And so I'm going to read to you some words by Thich Nhat Hanh, talking about interbeing. He once said, "If you are a poet, you will see clearly that there is a cloud floating in this sheet of paper. Without a cloud, there will be no rain. Without rain, the trees cannot grow. And without trees, we cannot make paper. The cloud is essential for the paper to exist. If the cloud is not here, the sheet of paper can't be here either. So we can say that the cloud and the paper, inter-are. Ooh, I love that. And in the same way, when we are mindful, we can feel the trees and the ocean and the clouds and all our many ancestors in a single breath. And then we exhale and we contribute to this whole. So with every breath, we participate in this profound communion with all of life. And I don't know about you, but for me, acknowledging that, like really sensing into it and taking it in, goes a long way towards dissolving the illusion of separateness. And just like with fire and earth and water, air nourishes and serves both the inner and the outer ecosystem the best when it's in some kind of balance. So in nature, when air becomes excessive, like a hurricane or a tornado, the results can be chaotic and damaging, right? Those kinds of excessive winds, they can uproot trees from the earth. They can whip water into destructive waves or fan fires into uncontrollable blaze. So too much air can be really damaging. And internally, this might look like those tornadoes of anxious or obsessive thoughts that just totally take us over, or that restless, scattered energy that leaves us feeling ungrounded and disconnected and like not quite here. And on the other side of the coin, when there's too little air in nature, the ecosystem can become stagnant and lifeless. So we talked about with Earth, think of soil that's so compacted. There's no pockets of air or room for roots to breathe, right? Or seeds to sprout. Or water that doesn't flow, like a pond that's lost its oxygen, becomes murky and unable to support life. So in our inner ecosystem, lacking air can be this sense of being stuck or unclear or flat or uninspired. And actually, it's no coincidence that the word inspiration literally means to breathe in, which is a reminder that the breath itself is what renews and animates us and fuels our creative sparks. So whether our inner air is chaotic and swirling or it's fallen kind of eerily still, and both of these are bound to happen, by the way, it's not a problem. The practice is the same, to return to the breath. And we can feel it as a steadying anchor when the winds of the mind or the heart are wild, and as a source of fresh, life-giving energy or inspiration when we feel stuck or stagnant. And in this way, the breath itself becomes the very practice of returning to what's here, of meeting this moment just as it is and experiencing life as directly as we can. And this, of course, is the heart of mindfulness. So in our meditation today, we're going to deepen this practice, exploring the breath as our guide to these qualities of movement and dynamism and vibration, and also that profound connection with everything else. So let's practice together, my friends. And I'm going to invite you to just take a minute to prepare the body for a period of stillness. So whatever you need, could be a stretch, drink of water. Apparently I'm going to demo each of these things. And when you're ready, inviting you to choose a posture that allows you to feel both grounded and spacious, and bringing a little curiosity to this process. So making room to wonder what way of arranging the body would feel most supportive right now. setting aside however you usually sit, and just getting curious about how do you want to be today? And when you're ready, you can invite the eyes to close gently or soften the gaze. And we'll begin by taking a few full deep breaths together as a Sangha to anchor ourselves in this moment. So on your next inhale, I invite you to imagine inhaling up through the soles of your feet, drawing the steady energy of the earth all the way up, filling the body right to the top of the head. And then, with an audible sigh, letting it go. And then again, inhaling through the soles of the feet, filling the lungs and the body all the way with breath. And then exhaling with a sigh. And then one more full deep breath like this. Maybe the deepest, fullest breath so far today. Inhaling. And then on the exhale, letting go of everything that came before this moment, all the words that have been spoken. Inviting the body and the heart and the mind to be in the same place at the same time. And we'll invite a wave of softness now to move through the body as we continue arriving. So beginning at the top of the head, just feeling the scalp soften. Releasing all those little muscles around the eyes. Might be a sense of the forehead broadening. Noticing if there's any tension in the jaw, releasing that. Allowing the tongue to fall away from the roof of the mouth and fill the lower palate. Perhaps ever so slightly tucking the chin, allowing the muscles along the back of the neck to lengthen. Shoulders falling away from the ears. Arms hanging heavy from the shoulder sockets. Feeling that wave of softness down the front of the body, the heart space, the belly, all the way down the arms and into the hands. Noticing if there's any gripping or holding in the muscles of the legs. And then sensing into the places your body is making contact with the surface beneath you. Feeling that pressure, that warmth. Knowing that beneath that surface is the whole of the earth, holding you. And just as equally, you are held by the whole of the atmosphere surrounding you. Your body held between earth and sky. And from this place of grounded, spacious presence, meeting the gift of air as if for the very first time. So, letting go of everything you think you know about the breath. And with a beginner's mind, simply sensing its quality of movement. You might place a hand on the chest or the belly, just noticing this incredible phenomenon, the expansion of the body on the inhale, the release and emptying on the exhale. This symphony of movement, receiving and letting go again and again. This is the presence and movement of air through you, your internal tide. So taking some moments now to immerse yourself in this current of movement. And now, letting your awareness follow the breath deeper into the body and tuning into the quality of dynamism, of that life force. Feel how the breath is an animating spark, how it carries the energy from your lungs into your bloodstream, flowing out and nourishing every part of your being. You might even sense it as a tingling of aliveness in your hands and feet, the far reaches of the breath's journey inside the body. This is the felt sense of dynamism, enlivening you from the inside out. And just resting here for a time, feeling yourself as a living, breathing landscape, energized by air. And tuning in now to the quality of vibration. So, first, by listening inwardly and seeing if you can sense a subtle hum or resonance through the body. Acknowledging this potential for sound that lives there. And then, while staying connected to this inner resonance, letting your awareness gently open outward to the world of sound. Letting your ears become receptive to the vibrations arriving from the space around you. Not chasing sound, receiving it, as though your ears were microphones. Could be distant traffic, rain falling outside, sound of your own breath. Without needing to name them or judge them, simply receive these sounds as pure vibration. The air element carrying messages to you from the world. And just resting for a minute in this field of vibration. And now holding all of these qualities in your awareness, the movement, the dynamism, the vibration, and widening the lens to feel the great web of connection. Imagine the journey this air you are inhaling has taken before it was received in your lungs. Tumbling over the mountains, rising from vast oceans, carrying the exhale of trees. Feel that you are breathing in not just air, but the history of the world. And with each inhale, receiving this gift, this rich inheritance. And with each exhale, releasing your breath back, becoming part of this whole. And feeling the boundary between you and everything soften and dissolve. Just resting in this profound sense of interbeing. And as you sit, becoming one with this flow of breath, offering a gentle inquiry. On the inhale, you might ask, what am I receiving? Or what does air have to teach me? And on the exhale, what am I releasing? What can air help me to offer? And just feeling this question rather than seeking, letting the inquiry breathe you, opening and softening and listening, inviting the wisdom of the air element to reveal itself in whatever way. And releasing the inquiry now, just resting, breathing. Being here held in this precious container of Sangha. And we'll close with a poem called The Gift. Consider this one breath, just this one. It's not a small thing. It's an inheritance of air. The exhale of a bristlecone pine, the salt spray of an ancient sea. It holds the last quiet word of an ancestor 1,000 years gone. All the news of the universe delivered to the quiet doorstep of your own body. And yet, you can only hold it now. You cannot save it or own it. Only be here to receive it. And then the final kindness, the first lesson and the last, to trust it enough to let it go and become the sigh of the cedar again, the ancestor whose breath is now the wind. Really taking your time coming back. Inviting a little movement to the body. Some deeper, fuller breaths. Opening the eyes slowly when you're ready. Taking in the space around you. And eventually our shared space. Thank you for your practice, my friend.